Is jihad similar to the Crusades? Islamic and Christian views on war. Throughout history, religion has played a pivotal role in shaping societal values and conflicts. One of the most debated aspects is whether the concept of jihad in Islam is similar to the Crusades in Christianity. Both terms have been associated with religious warfare and have significantly impacted historical events. However, upon closer examination, while both jihad and the Crusades share certain characteristics as religiously motivated actions, their theological underpinnings, historical contexts, and purposes reveal notable differences. Understanding jihad in Islam. In Islam, jihad literally means struggle, or striving in the way of God, fi sabilillah. It has both spiritual and physical dimensions. The spiritual dimension refers to the internal struggle to lead a righteous life, resist evil, and follow the teachings of Islam. This is often called the Greater Jihad, Jihad al-Akbar. The physical dimension, also known as the Lesser Jihad, Jihad al-Asghar, refers to the armed struggle to defend the Muslim community, Ummah, from oppression or to establish justice. The Quran and the Hadiths, sayings and actions of the Prophet Muhammad, lay down specific guidelines for jihad. It is not supposed to be waged for territorial expansion, revenge, or personal gain, but strictly to uphold justice and defend the community against aggression. The Quran emphasizes the importance of restraint and prohibits excessive violence or harm to non-combatants. For instance, Quran 2-190 states, "Fight in the way of Allah those who fight you, but do not transgress. Indeed, Allah does not like transgressors." Thus, the concept of jihad involves principles of self-defense and resistance against injustice. The Crusades in Christianity. In contrast, the Crusades were a series of religious wars launched by Christian Europe, sanctioned by the Pope, to reclaim the Holy Land, Jerusalem, from Muslim rule during the medieval period. The term crusade is derived from the Latin crux, referring to the cross, which symbolized the campaigns as a form of holy war. The Crusades were characterized by military expeditions with the aim of expanding Christian control over sacred territories and asserting Christian dominance. Unlike jihad, which has various spiritual dimensions, the Crusades were primarily military campaigns with religious motives. The Crusades were proclaimed by Pope Urban II in 1095 CE, urging Christians to undertake military expeditions to the Holy Land. The Pope promised spiritual rewards, such as absolution of sins and eternal salvation, to those who participated. This notion of armed pilgrimage marked a clear shift in Christian doctrine towards the justification of violence in the name of faith. Similarities and differences. While both jihad and the Crusades involve religious motivation and warfare, their underlying principles and historical contexts reveal crucial differences. One similarity lies in their religious justification, as both were presented as divinely sanctioned acts of warfare. Both movements also aimed at protecting or spreading their respective faiths and have left significant legacies in the regions where they occurred. However, the differences are stark when it comes to their theological foundations. Jihad, in its essence, is not limited to warfare. It encompasses spiritual, social, and moral dimensions, aiming at personal growth and the protection of the community. In contrast, the Crusades were explicitly military endeavors and lacked an equivalent spiritual or internal dimension. Moreover, jihad in Islam is governed by strict rules concerning warfare. The protection of non-combatants, prohibition of unnecessary violence, and limitations on aggression are emphasized. The Islamic perspective encourages peace and negotiation when possible. Conversely, during the Crusades, these restrictions were not as clearly defined, and history records numerous instances of violence against civilians, mass killings, and forced conversions. Historical and political contexts. Another essential aspect to consider is the historical context in which these concepts developed. Jihad emerged in the early Islamic period when the Muslim community faced persecution and threats. The Quranic verses and the Prophet's teachings on jihad were primarily defensive in nature, advocating for self-defense and justice. The Crusades, on the other hand, were a response to a complex set of political, religious, and economic factors. Christian Europe faced internal political strife, economic crises, and religious zeal. The call for the Crusades was also influenced by the perceived need to reclaim Jerusalem from Muslim rule and to unite Christendom under a common cause. Conclusion. While there are similarities between Jihad and the Crusades in their religious motivations and justifications, they are not identical in their theological foundations or historical execution. Jihad is a broader concept in Islam encompassing both spiritual and physical struggles, with a focus on justice, defense, and the betterment of the individual and society. The Crusades, in contrast, were military campaigns aimed at reclaiming territories, primarily driven by religious and political aspirations. The historical impact of both concepts has shaped the relations between the Muslim and Christian worlds for centuries. Understanding these differences can help foster greater interfaith dialogue and address misconceptions about the nature of religious warfare in both Islam and Christianity. By examining Jihad and the Crusades in their respective religious contexts, we can better appreciate the complexities of religious teachings and the historical events they inspired.